you got to pick a market and some marketing techniques and really focus on it. So if you're gonna, if you're gonna get business with this group of 400, 500 people, whatever it is, like, you need to put attention on them every single day.
So basically what you're saying is, pick your market. So that way you're not all over the place, a little bit here, a little bit there. You're primary in one location. And as you did, get that location right and then expand. So some of us in our marketplaces, we don't have like condo buildings or this or that. So pick a subdivision, pick a little region of a city. What's a good number to start off with? Like 200, you started off with 190, 400, 500. What's a good number for me to select if that's the method that I'm going to follow? What would be a good starting point?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors I think that would affect how I'd answer, and I think it could be anywhere from 200 to 2,000. I think once you start to get over 2,000, that's as a newer agent without a track record, without as much marketing dollars, it starts to get diluted. I think once you're over 2,000. But I think it needs to probably at least be 200. Okay. It'll kind of depend on the turnover, right? So if if you don't have a lot of turnover in your market, 500 might not be enough. Maybe you need 1,000, right? So you got to study, like how many people actually buy and sell a home, every year in this group of people. Like what's
and what percentage are we looking for? What kind of turnover are we looking for? Is there a specific number that you try to find and say, okay, well, because the turnover is like maybe 7%, and in here that's a good number, or 8%, 9%, 5%? What's a good number?
I think anyway. I think 10, like 8, 9, 10% is pretty healthy. That's a lot of turnover. I probably wouldn't want to go below 4 or 5. So. I think the year, I'm trying to think how many turned over the year. It was about 200 units, and there were probably 40 sales in that building. So
that's about a 20% turnover.
So that was high, yeah.
A very high turnover. So basically what you're saying is the less turnover, the more homes. The more turnover, the less homes we can begin with. Okay,
correct.
And this is again.
And one thing too, I'll just before I forget, the building I focused on was about 3.5 years old. So, and this is just kind of hint to other, if you've got an opportunity like this near you, a lot of people probably do with all the new construction going on. That's a pretty good time frame for a neighborhood, because people haven't had a lot of sales yet, right? If the neighborhood's about 3 to 5 years old, that means people are probably going to start thinking about moving more, and they probably don't have a dominant sales agent in that neighborhood yet, because once the builder sells out, that's staff. They're gone, and most of them, a lot of them don't focus on resales or even do them. The people that sell new home communities, and those that do, they're typically more concerned about the next project than keeping in touch with everyone who bought in there. So I think if you're in an area that had new construction 3 to 5 years ago, that might be a good place to start, because you might get more turnover and you don't have a dominant agent in that area.
So you already brought up like 2 major gold nuggets that a lot of people don't think about. Number one, what you just said right now is totally golden, because every single marketplace has a newer community somewhere, okay? And the newer community hasn't already been hit by one primary agent that's taken over that. So there's market share for every single person. And then, like you said, 3-4 years into it, that's when people start thinking about like, okay, I've outgrown this area, I've outgrown this home, it's time for me to sell this, that, etc. So that would be, if you're watching this video or listening to this podcast, I'd be taking a look at your marketplace and trying to identify that one neighborhood in your marketplace that's not being dominated by an agent. It's kind of newer and turnover is beginning there. Go there, put the stick in the ground with your name on it and saying, this is now my territory, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to capture as much market share as I possibly can. So that's number one. Number two, what you talked about is really identifying the market share and the right amount of homes, because a lot of people, what they do, Dan, is they say, well, I live in this neighborhood, or I like this neighborhood. Just because you like the neighborhood, or just because you live in a neighborhood, it doesn't mean there's anything going on in the neighborhood. So you got to scientifically look at, what pond you want to go fish in, and you want to fish in the pond that has the most amount of fish. That's what you want to do.